Hey guys, this is Dardomos with Dardomos Dominions, and I'm here with Kara. Karagraph, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty okay.
So we're gonna jump on into this. We're gonna see what's gonna be happening to Pan as they continue to try to defend their capital in a last stand. Do you want to read this off for me, Kara?
A messenger has arrived from Phaecia. So grindy, unhappy face. Let this be a lesson to you, folks. Early rushes are hard. Very true. He has one white centaur left. He can make maybe 4 to 5 next turn, but they won't be able to control the turn they're recruited. So it just depends on how much money he has to put province defense on his capital. I still have troops because I keep funneling them to the front. I can take it. It can be done. I just need the will to do it. It's costing me in other things, though. Expansion is too slow. I'll have to attack another neighbor once I'm back on my feet to get more coastlands. Oop, just got very tiny.
Yep, sorry. There you go.
Probably Naba. Uh, Meanwhile, Abyssia is taking all the actual lands around Pan and is hinting that maybe he should get the cap instead of me. That simply won't do. Momentum has been lost, so in that, I'll give Pangea the win and well played.
So what was interesting is that last time we were talking with GC, and GC said that Abyssia should have taken the throne, and I think that everybody else there was kind of in agreement. And what's funny here is that they seem to be fighting over this capital. And while Pan is going to lose, they're at least making Phaecia pay for it. They're making him pay in time and in just the general political situation. So there's some things that I do want to hit on first, and I think you pointed this out when you saw the turn, was that there was a bump over Pangea's land, and it's between a non-Phaeacian faction. So let's see this one, just a bunch of Centaur warriors, and then let's see this battle between Abyssia and Asphodel. Vultures fighting amongst themselves. What do you feel about this, dude?
Do we have Abyssian Sacreds here? We do. Abyssia wins.
Okay, even in cold.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
These are middle Abyssians. They don't have firepower, so while their heat auras turn offline, they should still win really handily.
Yeah, wow.
It's not like it's early Abyssia and their ability to hit things gets worse when they're in cold as well. Lava warriors are just good.
And this is a major loss for Asphodel, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially because they're Asphodel and not Pan. 13 Centaur Warriors is, 600 plus gold even for Pangea, which is a pretty major loss. But for Asphodel, every piece of gold hurts so much more.
Why do you think that he did this? Do you think that he thought it would be an easy vulture, or do you think that he was expecting a bump?
Abyssia or Asphodel?
Asphodel.
I probably Asphodel just thought they were easy vulturing. 13 Centaur Warriors is not enough to deal with that many Abyssians at all, let alone these hyper blessed Abyssian lava warriors. I think if he was expecting a bump, he wouldn't have gone there if he understood, the matchups very well.
Okay, well, we have Mictlan has had a very poor expand, but they're starting to use these Jaguar warriors, and unlike their Eagle warriors, these things seem to be doing something.
Yep, they're just better. We talked about this a little bit before, but if you're going prod to some degree on Mictlan, you can afford to go the Javelin Warriors and Slingers and Eagle Warriors to take up the backline and just insta-route the enemy. But if you're not going prod and all you're having mostly is your Sacreds, Jaguar Warriors, you need to have them because they can take way more damage.
And what I like is they have this second form, which makes it so much better. And the second form is pretty solid with his bless. It's got 3 attacks.
Yeah. The one thing I'll note that he's missing here is he doesn't look like he's got Undying, which is hyper efficient with shapeshifters.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah. So the way that Undying works is that when a unit goes to 0 hit points, they don't die. Instead, they can go to a negative amount of hit points for whatever their Undying is. With Shapeshifters, This applies on both forms. And if they end normally when a unit ends a combat in their undying hit points, they die. But for the shapeshifters, if they're ending their undying hit points and they're still in their first form, they just shift to their second form and then, of course, immediately shift back to her first form because they're out of combat and don't actually die. So undying is effectively as much real hit points as you get in undying, plus the undying hit points. It's a frankly ludicrous amount of efficiency for Jaguar Warriors, which are relatively cheap shape-shifting sacreds. You can easily get a Jaguar Warrior with like +5 with like 4 or 5 points of undying is effectively at like 60 hit points.
Yeah, I was really kind of surprised that it wasn't on here and that he wasn't using, especially as a defensive bless, as defensive as this is, it seems like Undying would be very easy to put on here, and it would be very synergistic with it.
Well, it looks like he spent out on getting Bark Skin instead, and obviously because he's spending out on getting Bark Skin, he is that means he's spending out on Incarnate. Personally, I prefer the Imprisoned blesses. Also, the +4 strength is actually relatively low for a Mictlan bless. Often you'll see as high as +6 or even +8.
Yeah, I feel like an attack bless would be great, would be a lot stronger on this. If you're going to go defensive, then do the Undying, just because it's so synergistic with the Jaguar Warriors.
Yep, plus, of course, because this is middle Mictlan, and it's mostly running past the early game on Eagle Warriors, the Eagle Warriors really want more offensive tools, because their goal is to land on things and blow them up, not to, like, sit and brawl with people in one-on-one confrontations like Jaguars do.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to the next one, which is Abyssia is just getting a whole bunch of independents, which is really interesting. Why are they recruiting independents?
Can we look at the Abyssian map a little?
Yeah, we can do that.
The initial reaction is that because they don't have their other forts up.
I think they just got this one up this turn.
Yeah. So they're probably using indies to, like, clear out the last few weak provinces. What you want to do a lot of the time with Abyssia is you attack, like, straight out in lines with your incredibly powerful starting army and sacreds. And then you fill in the rear with things like mercenaries and indies and stuff that can take the weaker provinces from the enemy.
What's interesting is that these barbarians on the side don't seem like they're the worst idea in the world. They do seem a little bit killy.
So the thing about barbarians is that they're... everyone's fear is barbarians, right? But the thing with barbarians is that they tend to not be terribly gold efficient, even if they're fairly scary as far as, like, indies go. So I personally don't like recruiting large numbers of barbarians outside of the very early game. Ooh, we just saw something interesting flash on the screen for a second.
Okay, so we have the Great Bull versus the stack of barbarians. Now he does have personal regen.
Is he in his dominion?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So he's getting Stone Skin, I think, is what's gonna do him in. Actually, Stone Skin. Oh, because the encumbrance. Yeah, severe cold, and he's also got a chest wound. Ouch.
Yeah.
So he's already up to 25 fatigue. Hold on, let me turn this down so I can kind of keep an eye on him. And he's up to 69 fatigue. And now it looks like he is sleeping. Galdavir, how are you doing? Okay, we'll try to get you in on this, dude. Let me know when you get your microphone working, and we'll get you sound tested.
Oh yeah, no, my mic was working. It was just off because I was in the middle of eating some watermelon.
Oh man, I'm super envious, dude. So Great White Bull versus 700 Barbarians. Who's gonna win this one, dude?
What research are we talking? Does he have temper flesh on, or is he just going in naked?
He has stone skin and personal regeneration.
I have lost too many pretenders to random chunks of barbarians in order to take the pretender side, so my money is on the barbarians.
Now, what's interesting is he has susceptibility to cold. Does that affect with just the weather?
I don't believe it does.
It's really interesting because he's got this +2 to severe cold. I'm kind of curious as to how that works.
Severe cold, I think, is usually only +1, so it might be doubling that. That's not the main thing that's killing him, though. It was the chest wound.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, and he
Plus
does
the fact that he's unconscious.
Yeah, there he is.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, the fact that he's unconscious isn't great, but he started the battle with a chest wound.
What's interesting is he's still doing a good job. I mean, 22 a turn is not bad. Oh, now he's starting to get some critical.
But so if you right-click on him here, though, the big problem is those afflictions are starting to stack up. He's already got another one. I'm not sure what it is, but
he's got a limp as well.
Got a limp. Yep. So he's gonna start getting those, and yeah, he's gonna die.
He's bleeding too now. Jeez. Galdavir, how often do you expand with an awake pretender?
In regards to expanding with just awake pretenders, it really does depend on the nation. I'm much more fan of always trying to get maximum luck, and so that really cuts into my ability to run with awake pretenders. In particular, I like the only time I really do it is I don't run with monsters. I'll usually run with Titans, unless I'm playing a nation that really wants to be heavy scale. So we're talking Ulm or any of the late age nations like Man.
So, what do you think, Kara? How do you think that he's going to recover from this? Is this a big hit to him, or does he care at all?
This is a pretty big hit. He's invested a lot in that bowl. That bowl's magic paths aren't nothing. And he has hard skin, and I forget what the nature part of the bless was, but he's got hard skin and stuff on the nature side.
Hit points, mountain survival, unaging.
Unaging. Okay, so the nature side of the bless will stay on, but hard skin is going to turn off now that the god's dead. Not that he was using black centaurs anyway, which is honestly weird to begin with. But between this and losing the 13 centaur warriors to Abyssia, I don't think there's a way that Asphodel does recover from this. Asphodel is very much as a nation based on snowballing. And if you don't start that snowball, it can't keep rolling.
Okay, so I want to go over one last fight, which is going to be this pile versus Amber Tribe. And what's interesting is that they take quite a few losses. Are Amber Tribe that scary underwater?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, pull up one that isn't frozen. Yeah. So you can see here these are superhuman stat lines. They're better than average hit points. They're armored like they're heavy infantry with 17 plus protection, depending on where you're looking. They've got a shield and decent defense skill, and they hit pretty hard at 17 damage with that trident there.
Yeah, it's not going to hit these meteorite guard every single time, but it's still going to chip away at them. And I think that
meteorite guard have pretty low defense skills, so they're going to hit a reasonable amount of the time.
It's the 19 protection that's really huge because it's 17. Normally you don't hit that. You normally don't hurt a meteorite guard because they've got so much armor on them. But
sure you do. You're cutting their prop by 20%. It's a piercing weapon.
Oh, that's true. So I guess that's another one that's getting them. It's another thing is the piercing. So they're dealing damage almost every hit.
Yep. They should be doing 2 to 3 damage average-ish. on all of their swings.
Now, what's interesting is don't these Amber Guards they have mages there, correct?
Did they?
Well, I mean, you can recruit mages from the Amber Guard, and don't they have good
Yeah,
paths?
Water 2 mages.
It's like Water 2, but there's a random fire in there, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a 10 or 20% fire.
But that's huge, because the fire water paths are really nice to get.
It's pretty good. The big thing is that it lets them build rune smashers if they also have a fire death path somewhere. Which I like taking on my god when I'm playing Relay, personally. In general, though, I don't know. I'm the most reason I'm excited for them is because they're more efficient researchers than anything Relay can recruit naturally.
Even more efficient than the slave mages.
The problem with the slave mages is that they're old and they will die.
Okay.
So while they're slaves and therefore reasonably upkeep happy, a large number of your slave mages are actually old. And 100 gold for 9 research and upkeep for that is generally better than what you're playing for slave mages. That said, slave mages are great. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, Galdavir, can you read Migdalin's message for me?
I've been kind of silent here, huh? But borders are awful with everyone, so might as well go to war. Time to fight the undead, I guess. And blood vengeance, here I come.
Galdavir, do you think that's a good choice? Should he be going for Aramor, or should he be looking for something a little bit more different?
In regards, I think going up against Ermor, if I remember correctly, with him taking a Blood Vengeance Bless, is a little on the riskier side, if only because Micklin doesn't know whether or not Ermor has gotten a critical mass of, or has started the Lictor production machine.
So why do you think he picked? I mean, you can see this is Aramor's to his north. He's got Naba kind of to his east. He's got Asphodel to his south, and he has some Phasian territory to his west. Was this the right choice, or would you have picked something else?
It's certainly a dangerous move, but I guess maybe his thinking is that he can recruit very high-end priests off the bat from his capital, and those will be very good at managing mass hordes of undead fast enough to where he might be able to weave through the chaff in order to knock out the lictors.
Yeah, that's fair enough. What's sad is it looks like a lot of the Novell, like Aramor's scales have already started coming through this territory, and it's just a matter of time before all of this income goes away. So it doesn't feel like he's going to get a whole lot out of it. But, I mean, it's probably going to be a nice way of restricting that dominion from going too much farther. Now, the second message we got is from Abyssia. Can you read this, Kara?
Hail, omnipotent ones! The Pangean situation, capitals, has been complex. My initial goals were to come in as the liberators to the Pangean people and avenge their deaths. I have unfortunately done the opposite. I have allied with their invaders in the hope of preventing the non-stop raiding that Phasia will do to me if I were to follow the original plan. I have no means of crossing the moat, and it would take time and gems to cast Raging Hearts on their capital until it is ashes. To that end, I have no idea who I will be attacking next. Naba seems like a good prospect. As the deal with Phasia, I asked for an IOU on a joint war, which leaves me the capital of whoever we are attacking. I'll probably just clear some indie thrones while I decide what to do next.
Now, I do like that he seems to have gotten the IOU, as in, you know, the next war I go into, he has to join up with me. I mean, does that seem like a good trade for the Pangean throne, or do you think that he should have kept on going to war, or should he have attacked Phasia, and then taken the Pangean throne? What do you think, Kara?
It's complicated. He has enough indies around him that I'm reasonably happy with the decision he makes. If he clears off those some of that farmland to his south and to that throne to the north, and some of the indies he's got over to the west, over by
Asphodel?
Asphodel, he's got a decent chunk of land, and I'm pretty happy to see him invade up from here, because Katis and Asphodel are unlikely to want to go to war with him, and it's not like he can do anything, really, to Relay or Phaecia.
I kind of like that assessment. I mean, he's got a really great target to his north, and with the amount of money that he's got, he can definitely bankroll a stronger army than what Nabaa can, even with their decent expand. So I kind of like your assessment.
In particular, Nabaa gets a lot scarier over time. Like, a lot scarier. So Asphodel is... not Asphodel. Abyssia is pretty happy to take them early when the tools that they're relying on are probably fire-based still.
Okay, so the last one that we've got is from poor Asphodel, which we just saw their disaster turn last turn. Galdavir, can you read this?
Complete disaster. I should not have cast Stone Skin, giving susceptibility to cold, and should have waited for Conjuration 3 or Alt 4. Very important that he should have waited for that, especially when going into Barbarians, because Barbarians hit much harder than everyone always thinks they will. I could have kept Fatigue low enough to maintain Berserk and thus 31 protection, but I forgot about Berserk dropping when Fatigue goes out, which made it possible for the Barbs to kill me. I am now going to set back several turns of research, plus I can't construct a fort immediately with the nature gems from last turn. As this is a very pretender-centric build, I'm in trouble. That said, I have a nap with the people who can realistically capitalize, so I can probably recover. I do not lose a lot of time and money, I do lose a lot of time and money, however. The only silver lining here is that at least I get to see Abyssia's Bless. He thought that he'd go for Pangea's capital, but he gets to see that he was wrong there too. And research mages that he's getting are going to double as Holy Twos. Ratio won't be down long, but it will probably cost me access to some territory.
In looking at Asphodel, I mean, I kind of disagree with him because I don't think that there's a lot left for him to take. There's these two provinces, but I think he can take them with other forces. Now, when you have a pretender-centric strategy, how do you recover from this, Galdavir?
I don't have a lot of experience going with Asphodel, so I don't know how they run, but in my experience, when I'm playing Therados and I'm using the Tulkeen God King to expand out, if you lose one of your primary means of expansion and the only way that you can gain more territory, you really have to buckle down and get into the micromanaging on how you can use your troops. If I remember correctly, Asphodel's mannequins aren't very good. I disagree that he should not have gone in against the Barbarians. I would have sent just the free spawn Chaffin and pulled the god either to go secure the one that you have highlighted right there, the Pine Grove, or used him to go out and site search.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I think that you're right. I think that barbarian provinces are very nice for free spawn to soak the hits. And what's really interesting to me is that, I mean, if you look around this province, it wasn't vital that he took this right away. I mean, it's 39 income. It's a mountainous region. This didn't seem like a hill to die on. Let's go into the next message. I'm sorry, we're done with message. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so Relay goes into Lizard Warriors, and he is now on land. Anything surprising about this battle whatsoever?
Probably not, but I do want to make actually an important note that Relay securing Lizard Shamans is a very scary thing for everyone else in the game.
I think they've already got Astral Nature. What's scary about this?
So one, it's consistent Astral Nature. The other way that Relay gets Astral Nature is off of the Slave Mages, which are only 1 and 4 because they're Water 2 Astral 1 plus a random. So it gives them.
I'm sorry, dude. I think we lost him. I think we lost you there. Yeah. One of the things of note is that it does give them a mage to recruit on land, which is very. And I think that their slave mages, you have to be underwater to get them. Kira, are you back, dude? Oh, I think we lost Kara. Okay, so let's keep on moving forward. Galdavir, how is this? How is this as an exchange? He lost some heavy cavalry, some light infantry, but he killed 16 heavy cav.
I will trade 3 Colossi infantry versus that many heavy cav any day of the week. Colossi light infantry are very good, high quality troops, and you can mass them out very quickly. I'm surprised that the Storm Captain didn't carry more with evocations. I would actually like to see the battle to see actually how the heavy cav didn't just run roughshod over.
Looks like they just... Oh, you know what it was? The high defense skill of this cavalry saved them.
Yeah, that was really lucky. Cav versus cav.
Yeah, it worked out really well for him. I'm really impressed. Okay, we also have a... he's attacking the throne here. And this seems fairly straightforward, except for the fact that we've got fire elementals here. How bad... I mean, it looks like the fire elementals did the majority of the damage here. Galdavir, how is it these fire elementals are this damaging?
Combination of ethereal versus non-magic weapons on top of just full-size fire elementals with fire shield and fairly high damaging strikes.
Yeah, this was very painful to him. What's interesting is that it's also happening in cold scales, and it still did some pretty major damage. Would you be happy with this result or not happy?
Depends on the throne that I got for it, but if I remember right, the elite soldiers were, I believe they're tier 2 for that. Oh yeah, for the crystal throne, definitely.
Okay.
That's a fantastic throne to have. If I remember right, Nabad doesn't have native access to astral, so that will be fantastic for them to take advantage of.
They should.
Oh, they have some astral, but I don't think they have the astral earth cross path, which is they take it back, they do, but not up to 2, so it's still really good. Kira, how would you feel about this trade?
Can you look at the battle real quick? The answer is almost certainly good, but yeah, I feel good about this. They lost some frontline troops here, but like you're happy to trade these for thrones.
Now, of note, because Fascia was down here playing with Pan, they should have lost this their expansion. But in the past couple turns, they've kind of made up with it with these 4 territories, all worth over 70 gold with the exception of this one. So 3 territories worth over 70 gold. And Mictlan is just kind of watching him take the territory that should be his. I mean, how do you feel about this, Kara? Mictlan, should they be pushing Fascia back? Should they be negotiating for this? How would you feel about this in this situation?
Yeah, if I were Mictlan, Mictlan should probably just have a lot more territory than they do at the moment. Mictlan's expansion is one of the stronger ones in the Middle Age, still. So, like, Asphodel is also a bit pushed into them. They should probably have that throne to the left there. Sorry, not the throne. Yeah, they should probably be to that throne in the left there, rather than having Asphodel cut them off. They should probably be farther to their north, where Airmore has cut them off. But Mictlan had said that they were prepping for war with Airmore, and you can't prep for war with Airmore and Fascia at the same time.
That's fair enough. Galdavir, what were you saying?
I need to step away for a couple of minutes.
Okay, catch you then. So let's keep on moving on to the next fights. Okay, nothing, boring. Okay, another ping, and we have yet another hammering by Satis. Do you think? Karagraph, at this point, Satis has taken a bunch of really bad exchanges in expansion. How could he have changed this situation? Was this just a hit that he had to take, or is it something that he could have changed?
Let me preach you to the good word of Sobex. Sobeks on Middle Katis are the reason that you play Middle Katis outside of Marshmasters. They're size 3 and 20 protection and hit like a truck. They're not sacred, so you can build as many as you like, and they're a tiny amount of recruitment points, so you can still go Turmoil and get a whole bunch of them. Plus, their attacks per square is at 4, despite the fact that they're size 3, so they're even still generating a decent number of attacks per square. Sobeks generally can clear indies without casualties. Elite Warriors are nice, particularly for dealing with human enemies, because they will trade favorably, is what I'm going to say about them. But for expansion, trading favorably against like
you don't want to trade favorably.
What you're against, you don't want to trade favorably. You want to blow indies out. You want to take basically no casualties when you're hitting them, and Sobeks will do that for you. Sobeks in general are just, in my opinion, way better. They're also better targets for things like Moss Body and stuff like that, and can just make a hard as nails frontline for Katis.
One of my favorite things about MA Satis is that you can talk to 3 different people about what their strategy is with MA Satis, and you'll have 3 different strategies, and each one of these people will be like, oh yeah, but I won a game with it once. And these strategies are all diametrically different, but at the same time, they all seem to work. It's a very well-built nation, in my opinion.
Yeah, I generally view Middle Katis as one of the stronger middle-aged nations. If they didn't have their Dominion effect, they would probably be one of the strongest. Instead, I think they're like somewhere around top of middle tier.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're definitely competitive, but at the same time, like you said, they kill their own indie mages, which is kind of painful. Okay, I think at this point that we are at the end of this. Oh my goodness, look at that. This is the power of Relay and the Mind Blast right here.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Illithids, that's 16 Illithids. That's, 800 gold in troops. Most armies at the point that they're bringing in 800 points of archer troops, basically, they're gonna do pretty similar things.
That's fair enough.
80 composite bows would kill 25 barbarians just as good.
Okay, guys, well, we have reached the end of this turn, and as such, I think this is a good stopping point. So I want to thank my co-host today for joining up with me. Geldovir, thank you so much for joining.
No problem.
And Karagraph, thank you so much for joining up again. I appreciate it.
Always happy.
Okay, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.